Well, I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is an unusual place for a Japanese American to be born at that time. My parents and others who were in the camps during World War II were allowed to leave the camps a little early if an employer would vouch for them. And my father was a graduate of Oregon State, and so he wrote to his entire graduating class, which was very small. Electrical engineering in 1939 was a new field. And so he wrote to his entire class, and only one person answered him back. And it was a classmate who lived in Milwaukee and whose father owned a shoe factory. So his father wrote a letter saying he needed my dad at the shoe factory. Of course, my dad's skills were not in any way related to making shoes, but he did office work, and this person's father vouched for him. So I was born in Milwaukee, and it was some months later that my parents and I eventually made our way back to Portland, which was where my father was originally from. And it was very, very difficult on the West Coast after the war. By that time, the war was over. And it was very, very difficult. And the only job my father could get with an engineering degree was being a box boy at the same grocery store. He'd been a box boy when he was in high school. So we lived with my grandparents, and that's a whole other story. They were very fortunate. Their next door neighbor took care of their house and all of their belongings during the years that they were in the camps, rented the house out, saved the rent, and just paid the taxes and the maintenance and things. And so my grandparents, with very modest means after the war, ended up being one of the few Japanese American families that had a little bank account and had all their household belongings intact.
Wow.
So we lived with them, and my sister was eventually born. And then, I can't remember what year it was, my parents were able to get a house in Northeast Portland, and we lived there until my father got a job at Boeing, which was his first rail engineering job in 1956.
Okay.
So then we moved to Seattle.